a couple of themes related to energy efficiency that emerge from my work in medical devices. The first is to do with an increasing trend across all sectors, but it's new in medical devices towards everything being battery powered. So batteries are a huge problem in hospitals. They create a huge logistic problem of making sure that batteries are charged, and there's no standardization of batteries and of voltage adapters. So this is a logistical problem that often I've observed in hospitals. In doing ethnographic research in hospitals, I've observed, a nurse going into a patient's room with a piece of equipment and then coming back out again without having done the exam because it's not charged, the battery's not charged, and I don't have the cord, or now we have to call the equipment management guys to replace the batteries or whatever. And the other aspect to do with battery-powered devices is that every battery-powered device has its own little transformer, right? So we're distributing 240 volt or 110 volt AC power around, and then everyone with their own little transformer, very inefficient transformer, is converting that into 3.7 to recharge these lithium-ion batteries. So I think, if you start to imagine that the internal power network in buildings is no longer primarily aimed at providing directly power for devices while they're running, but is primarily aimed at recharging devices that will then run independently, I think that internal distribution infrastructure could be rethought to be more efficient, and some kind of drive towards standardization. To avoid that, you have to have paired adapters and devices. Ideally, since all of these devices are using lithium batteries, so the voltages are standard, because that comes from the chemistry, there should be some way to standardize that and have whatever adapter can charge whatever device, or even have some bulk adapters that are more efficient, where you can have charging pools and so on. So that's one, I think, important theme, and also that it has a parallel in the houses and the household as well, because everybody has all their adapters plugged in around the home. Another theme coming from work in medical devices is the idea of feedback as the necessary agent for behavioral change. So we're currently working on telemonitoring projects, which involve where we started from the idea of, okay, we monitor vital signs, we send it to the doctor, and the doctor provides feedback to the patient. What we realized as we've gotten into this is that it's critical that the patient sees and interprets and understands the information directly. They have to see that flow of information and not just get the feedback from the doctor. So in order to feel responsibilized for that. And I think that there's a strong parallel in energy efficiency. People don't know where the energy is going in their houses, right? They don't know what the sources of inefficiency or waste are in their houses, and giving people the chance to see, what happens when you switch on your fridge, what happens when you switch off your TV that's on standby mode, all of that stuff. So this trend towards smart metering and providing people with a simple overview of what their energy footprint is and how they could improve it, I think is essential if we want to ask millions and millions of consumers to make small behavioral changes that sum up to some greater effect.
Do you have any suggestions about how we could ensure that people change their behavior in a very simplistic manner, so that they don't feel guilty but feel encouraged to make a difference?
Yeah, I think if we look at, if I again make the parallel to what we were doing in the healthcare sector, normally there are, you know, 2 or 3 things that more or less everybody should do and isn't. So you can easily guide people down some simple first steps, and that gives them some simple first positive reinforcement. And for some people will stop there, but then anyway you've achieved something. But for many people, you know, making some simple changes and getting some positive reinforcement back, then creates the enthusiasm to want to explore deeper and to want to do more. I think what's difficult is, you know, people tend to feel like everything is very long term. Like, okay, yeah, you know, I could buy, you know, solar panels and put them on my roof, but you know, everyone tells me I'll start making money back on that after 14 years or whatever it is. So showing people that there are short-term things that they can do that are worthwhile, I think is key. Another since we're experimenting, I'll just go on another theme that I'm interested in, which is you know, cities and solar energy within cities. So I recently bought a house for the first time, and so I've discovered the joys of being in a condominium and the problems of trying to get anything done in a condominium. And I look out over the rooftops in Milan. I'm on the top floor of a building, and you see this vast resource, right? This vast resource of these rooftops, and you know, why aren't they covered in solar panels? And the stupid answer is they're not covered in solar panels because of the organizational structure, the condominium, right? That organizational structure blocks you. If those were, you know, if there was a different organizational structure, maybe it would be much easier to penetrate and to be populating those roofs with solar panels. To me, that becomes an opportunity then for service providers who can think about that in a different way. If I take the parallel of cable broadband access, so what happens in cable broadband access is the broadband access provider makes the investment and takes the fiber to your building, and then they put up a big notice saying the fiber's arrived. You know, do you want to subscribe? And then people say, okay, yeah, I'll subscribe, and they start paying, and that company starts making money back on having taken the fiber there. I think something very similar could work in solar panels if you know, if investors were willing to say, okay, I'm going to take the solar panels there and say, you know, they're here. I'm going to put them on your roof for free. You don't pay anything, right? Then you can choose to subscribe or not to participate in that. And I think what happens then is that you know, that lowers the barrier in that choice, so it becomes a very easy choice to people to make because they're not making capital investments. They're just saying, okay, I subscribe to a service, but it's concrete. It's on your own roof. It's not, okay, I'm buying green kilowatt hours, but you know, are they really green kilowatt hours? I don't perceive any difference because it's just another provider sending me the bill.
Thank you very much, Thomas Sutton. Finally, as a final question, in the context of Lyft, with the carbon footprint that we've calculated or has been calculated by the EPFL to be roughly 1,000 francs, what would you do with that sum if you wanted to invest it in another area?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know where. I mean,
would you invest in a solar panel encouragement system? The first £1,000, first 1,000 francs.
Yeah, I mean, I think in principle the place where we need to invest is in creating awareness. So I think that would be the area that I would like to see it spend, is in creating awareness. But I think we need to move from creating awareness of the general problem to creating awareness of simple things that that you can do as an individual, or group actions that you can simply participate in as an individual, to kind of get from being aware of the fact that there's a problem to being aware that there are solutions that one can participate in.
Thank you very much.